Hello and welcome to Mission Nonprofit. I'm your host, Robert Kam. On Mission Nonprofit, we feature a local nonprofit organization from the Thurston County area. And this month, we have Olympia Community School. And with me to talk about Olympia Community School is Teresa Eckstein and Holly Lawrenson. Did I get your name pronounced? Lawrenson, okay. And Teresa, you're the enrollment coordinator, and Holly, you're the operations coordinator. I wanted to start out with how did Olympia Community, first of all, let's talk about what Olympia Community School is, okay? So it is a private school, a private grade school, correct?
Yes.
For what grades?
We have pre-K or 2-year kindergarten through 5th grades.
Okay.
Yeah, and we are an independent school, so we're a secular school in Olympia.
Okay, so it's a non-religious private grade school.
Yes.
And it's out at Evergreen.
We were at the Evergreen State College. So we were created by Evergreen staff and faculty in 1973. And so we're celebrating our 40th year this year. We're in our 40th year. And it was created as an alternative to public school by some staff and faculty at Evergreen who were interested in carrying forward their theme-based learning, interdisciplinary learning, collaborative, non-competitive style into elementary school for their kids.
For the people at Evergreen, for the...
That's how it was originally started, and then it became a community school where they opened, when they opened, they were including other people in the community as well. But it started with folks at Evergreen with sort of that same philosophy.
Now, it's not at Evergreen?
We are not. Now,
where are you now? I was thinking you were at Evergreen still.
For the past 3 years, we outgrew that space. We had the Gooey Duck House, which was out on the beach at Evergreen, which was beautiful, but also small. And so we outgrew that space, and there were a lot of renovations that needed to happen that the college wasn't going to put money into because we weren't a long-term tenant. So now we lease space from Good Shepherd Lutheran Church over by Olympia High School. They have an education wing that we lease some beautiful classrooms and have a gym and outdoor play space there.
Nice. Do you get to share some of the facilities of Olympia High School at all? No.
We haven't.
No.
No.
Okay. So I guess this is a good time to talk about the history of OCS. I guess we can call it OCS. Do you go by OCS sometimes?
We do. We do
Olympia
go by OCS.
Community School.
It's a little easier to say.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, you mentioned it got started at Evergreen, correct? By the faculty.
Faculty and staff at Evergreen.
Faculty and staff.
Yeah.
And so what's been going on that was 1974?
1973.
1973?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us what's been going on since 1973. How did it become what it is today? And I know you've grown.
Yeah. So we've kept these core values. So it was a kindergarten through 3rd grade school. With that focus, like I said, on thematic learning, on interdisciplinary learning, multi-age classrooms, so kids get to learn from each other in that model. It's been housed in many different places, church basements, but we were in the Gooey Duck House for over 20 years at Evergreen, and then the past 3 years have been here. 2 years ago, we added 5th grade. So we added 4th grade a few years ago and then are going up to 5th grade, and we graduated our first 5th grader last year and have a small group of kids that are in 5th grade this year. So we have expanded and grown. But really kept that small class size. So we have up to 14 kids in a class, is usually as high as we go, so that the kids really get that opportunity to learn with the teachers. And we've maintained that connection to Evergreen. Our teachers have all attended Evergreen. 2 of them have their master's in teaching from the college. And we have work study students and interns that come from the college as well.
Okay, and Holly, do you work with the work-study students from Evergreen?
I do.
Can you tell me about what it's like to work with them and how that grant works out to get you the work-study grant?
Sure, yeah. We use the Federal Work-Study Program, which is a grant that allows us to hire part-time students from the college and get reimbursed for the wages that we pay them. So we end up not having to pay money for these amazing students to come in and help. And it really allows us to keep the education individualized. They help during math and reading time specifically, And so we're able to bring them in, and that allows the teachers to have small group settings where they can focus on individualizing the education for each child and be able to have small groups learning.
I wouldn't imagine you have them for all day though, because they are
No.
students.
Yes.
So you get them for part of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and they come in there and they help out with the kids. And
Yeah, so they come in the mornings typically. We have our math and our reading time and language arts times happen in the morning. And so typically they're there during that 9 to noon time frame. And they're allowed to work up to 19 hours a week. So we have 5 right now. We have 5 different students, and some of them only come in 1 day a week, and others come in 2 or 3 days a week, depending on their schedules.
is that about workout for one for each classroom, or?
We try to have 1 a day for each classroom. Sometimes that doesn't happen. We also utilize parent volunteers to come in the classroom as well. So what we can't fill with the work studies, our parents come in and help in the classrooms to help keep that small group setting.
Mm-hmm. And then you have parents helping out with other things too, am I right?
Yes.
What kind of things do the parents help you out with? Field trips?
So we ask each of our families to volunteer 65 hours a year as part of their commitment to the school when they enroll. And it allows them to be really involved in their child's education and to be hands-on and know what's happening in the school, which I think our parents appreciate. And so they have several different ways that they can volunteer. We try to use each family's unique skill sets to find a good fit for that. Some volunteer by serving on the board. Others volunteer by coming in during class time and helping out during language arts or math or reading, or lunch monitoring, going on field trips. Some come in and we have Friday workshops where parents can come in and teach the kids a different craft or an art project or a language or dancing or any type of skill that they want to share with the students.
So if my kids went there, then I could volunteer and teach them television.
You absolutely could.
Well, that sounds neat. I'm glad that the parents kind of have that flexibility and freedom to do what they want to help out, right? You mentioned the board. Can you tell me about how the board of directors works? Because you are a nonprofit, and you have a board of directors, and so a lot of those are volunteer parents doing that. Do you have other board members as well?
Sometimes we have alumni parents who serve on the board. I'm not sure if community members, in the 2 years I've been there, we haven't had any.
We haven't in the past several years that I've been there either.
Community members.
Yeah.
But we often have 1 or 2 alumni parents who return to serve on the board after their kids have graduated from the school and give back in that way. And the board kind of governs the operational functioning of the school, and they help maintain the mission of providing quality elementary education for students that really focuses on creating the love of learning and instilling that in our kids. And so we have an executive committee, and then there's other spots on the board that help with fundraising and other areas.
How big is this board of directors?
10?
10?
Yeah, 10 is the maximum.
Okay. And then you have a president, you have a vice president, and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holly's the vice president of our board right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah,
So you can be on staff and be a member of the board.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have. So we have 4 positions within our school that are parent jobs for reduced tuition, and that is enrollment coordinator, operations coordinator, volunteer coordinator, and a permanent lunch monitor throughout the year. And that helps us to maintain the operational capacity of the school smoothly, so that then we can utilize the extra volunteer hours from families to fill in where they're needed.
So that's one of the things that's unique about our school is to keep tuition low and be accessible to more people in the communities. We do have these parent jobs that Holly and I both have of enrollment coordinator and operations coordinator, where we do these jobs as volunteer, but get a reduced tuition. So our only paid staff, actual paid staff, are the teachers who carry out our mission. And so the teachers are the educators, certified instructors, and everyone else is a volunteer.
So you guys are volunteering.
We are.
Well, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that the children have, that teacher to student ratio that's low. I guess we want to say it's a low ratio. Is that right, or is it a high ratio? It's a low ratio, and so they get better, teaching. So these students probably stay they stay with the same students through their whole grade school experience.
Yeah.
And they meet in kindergarten, and they go through kindergarten for 2 years, and then they're in first grade together and second grade.
Yeah.
And there's only 15, or roughly around there on average.
A total of 33 in the school right now.
Oh,
so
really?
we have 3 classes. So we have 3 teachers, and we have the 2-year kindergarten, 1st, 2nd combined grades, and 3rd through 5th combined. And so it's part of the methodology is to have the combined grades. So kids have a lot more flexibility in where they're at. So there's a little bit less focus on what grade they're in as where they as individual learners are. So somebody who's in 1st grade might be working at a 2nd grade, in a traditional school 2nd grade level in math. And maybe still at the beginning 1st grade in reading, and the teachers, because they develop their own curriculum, are able to meet those individual needs in the classroom. And kids help teach each other. So they work in small groups. So for instance, a teacher might introduce a concept in math to the whole group, and then they will break out into groups and work in small groups for a math game to learn that math concept. And they might work with kids at their same level, or they might work with kids at varying levels so they can help each other. And it really helps them with their learning. It's a different style of learning to teach other kids, and sometimes kids learn differently from each other. So we've had a lot of success with that multi-age classroom and with the kids learning, yeah. One of the other things that Holly mentioned about field trips, some of the things that we do are the core studies in the mornings. And we have a theme, though, that the teachers developing their curriculum work with the kids to find a theme that incorporates some things. So right now they're doing a time machine. And so all the kids got to have input into what they wanted to learn, and the teachers compiled all of that and came up with this time machine idea. And so right now they're at the end of the 1800s. Yeah, so the kids are loving that, and they'll incorporate science and math and
Sounds like that's a lot of history
studies.
right there.
Yeah, and
The time machine
history,
is history, isn't it?
and social studies, and they usually end with a feast for whatever period they're in or whatever location.
Fun.
Yeah, so they have a lot of fun with that learning. And then on Fridays are our experiential learning day. And so the teachers will have the workshops, like Holly mentioned, where parents can come in and do a workshop. And if there's something related to the theme that the parents know, they could offer that. Also, the kids do workshops on Friday mornings.
Really?
Yeah, and they
The
love
older kids or all of them? Oh,
So
okay.
kindergartners might be teaching their friends something really cute, like paper dolls.
That is cute.
Yeah, and older kids might be doing something a little more involved, where they're teaching their friends a knitting technique, and the kids get to sign up for both. So they get that experience of being more formal teachers, and the adults, get a chance to come in. But the field trips that we have are also on Fridays. So every other Friday, the kids go out either for a community service event or another field trip. Holly, do you want to talk more about
Field trips?
some of those?
Sure. I'm
Sure.
sure the
Yeah.
audience would love to hear about that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, our themes allow for interesting field trips.
You get to go back in time since you're talking about
Yeah.
Content.
So oftentimes the teachers will take the theme and they'll try to search for things in the community or the area that relate to that. Sometimes it's not theme related. We went out to the Nisqually Reach. I always want to say Refuge, but it's the Reach, and had a tour out there with the kids where they got to do a count of different sea animals and learn about sea life. We have gone up to the Washington State History Museum up in Tacoma and toured that before. It's really, we don't have a busing system, so
I was going to ask,
so
yeah,
it's
how do you
very
get there?
much
Carpooling?
carpooling with parents volunteering to drive and signing up to take children. And it's also with our workshops and our field trips, it's a great way to incorporate the community, bringing in people who know specific things. Last year we had a scuba diver come in and teach about scuba diving. They were in India studying, and someone who had visited India came and brought a lot of artifacts and taught about traditional Indian dress. They studied Australia, and someone came in and played the didgeridoo for them and talked about Australia. So it's a way to really pull skills from people who have specific skill sets that are unique to those themes or what we're learning at the time. And we also incorporate community service, like Teresa was mentioning. So one Friday a month, the students all take the bus down to the food bank, and they work at the food bank. Yes, the city bus, to clarify.
Yeah.
They take the city bus down to the food bank, and they spend the afternoon volunteering there and stocking boxes for families to give out at the food bank.
Oh, that's good.
Which is something that they get very excited about. And we also do a collection to take to the food bank every Friday that they go. So we collect food to bring to the food bank, and they give that to the food bank, and then they work there as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The community service part. I should mention your website, which is www.olympiacommunityschool.org, so that people can go to their website and they can learn more about that. And there may be people out there watching that have kids that are, between kindergarten and 5th grade that are interested in your school. What would they do to get their child involved?
So they could come, we have an annual open house and we have some other events, but going to the website to see what's coming up. They could also email us. It's just info, I-N-F-O, at olympiacommunityschool.org. The phone number's on the website as well, and we'd be happy to set people up with a tour, to invite them to one of the events and provide more information about that. We have a pretty standard application process for people to sign up. And as we mentioned, we have parent jobs so that we are accessible to people. We also have needs-based reduced tuition for folks. So if tuition is a concern, then we really try to meet needs of folks in the community. But also being that that's our fund source is tuition, we do that.
So it is primarily tuition. You don't. I mean, I'm sure you could probably accept donations, if people were donating, and they could probably just contact you, go on the website. If they're out there watching, some, benefactors out there watching and they want to give you some money, then they can just go to the website.
Yes.
OlympiaCommunitySchool.org. But most of it, I guess the largest percentage is the tuition, and then you've got the work-study grant for the extra help with the college students. Are there any other sources of funding?
We do have a couple fun events. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Fundraisers, then, it sounds like.
We do. We have fundraisers. We call them friend-raisers or fundraisers. We have two main ones during the year, and the first happens in the fall, and it's our annual night walk, which happens around Halloween time, and it's sort of a celebration of the changing of seasons and the fall season, which is a great community event that's open to the public, and we usually find an area that's sort of out in the woods. And we have fun crafts and games and music and entertainment, and then the kids get to go on a night walk through it that happens after dark. And there's fun, magical little vignettes in the woods, and you get to watch these magical plays. Sometimes they're fairies, or we had a puppeteer this year who did a little puppet show, and it's a really, really fun, magical event. And I would say that it's probably the most talked about with our students. When they talk about the end of the year, what they love the most is that.
it's also a nice alternative to a candy-focused event because it is about just sort of the magic of the season. And we include some local groups like the Olympia High School Drama Club. Some of the kids from that group will come. Usually one or two of the vignettes, the little plays will be Olympia High School. Olympia Family Theater has participated in the past too. So it's a really nice community connection to that.
Yeah, and so that is a fundraiser. There is a charge to get in, but it's also a great way for families to learn about OCS and to see what we're about. I think the event itself is really representative of our school. And then in the spring, which we're gearing up for now, we have an annual dinner and auction that's called our food event, the Friends of OCS Dinner. And that is an adult-only dinner and auction, and we offer childcare on site. And it's a great time for the community to come together and really kind of alumni to come and reminisce and to see old classmates or to see their teachers and to reconnect. And it's a really fun event.
Do you have the date for that?
It's
No?
March 16th.
March 16th.
And all the
okay.
info is on our website right
Yep.
now. There's
OlympiaCommunitySchool.org.
you can purchase tickets online.
And everybody's welcome to that. You
Yeah.
don't have to have
Yes.
a
You
child in
don't.
school. Same
Yeah.
thing with the fall event, which is
Yes.
called again, what was that called, the fall event? You can call it Harvest Festival. or
It's
something.
called the Night Walk.
Night Walk?
Yeah.
It is kind of a Halloween-based thing, but
Yeah,
more...
it's All Hallows Eve night.
Well, and
walk.
we've incorporated All Hallows Eve and the Celtic Samhain
Okay.
Into one. That's why we were hesitating on the
We've
name. I think
Okay.
next year it's just
changed
going to
the
be called
name.
So
the
you
Night
may
Walk.
change it. Gotcha.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Night
It's
Walk.
right now it's the Night Walk.
Yeah.
But it's
Oh, it
definitely,
sounds fun, though.
It's
Whatever
really
it is,
fun.
It sounds, whatever it's called, it sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yes. And and all that our information for our events is always posted on our website. And if you wanted to be put on an email mailing list, you could email to get your name put on a list to get information ahead of time about when those events are. We also have a couple of smaller fundraisers. This year we're going to work with the Olympia Family Theater to do a fundraiser at the end of the year where we're buying out tickets to a play and then selling them, and some part of the proceeds will go to our school. And we're also working with Italia restaurant
Yeah.
to do a fundraising evening, which is actually happening next week.
I don't think this will be on
No.
air in
Okay.
time for that, but
Okay.
they may be watching for the March 16th dinner and auction.
Great, and it's a silent auction, and we have music and really great organic, locally purchased food. So it's a really nice dinner and just
Yeah.
sort of evening out. Yeah.
Two of our parents actually are cooking the meal. They're chefs.
Can you tell me a little bit about the assessment of the kids? They probably have to take the WASL. No, they don't have to.
No, so
Okay.
that's a really good
Yeah.
really good question. It's something that is very different about us, and
Yeah.
and in the Evergreen tradition also we don't have grades. So the assessment is individualized assessment, and we have something that we use that's a continua, and so it's a progress report that's individualized to each child and when they've achieved specific. So for instance, in reading, they might have achieved a certain type of reading skill, and so they work with the child to identify that, the teachers do. And so they keep that continua with them all the way through 5th grade. So you get to meet with the teachers a couple times a year or more frequently if that's something that you desire, to look at where your child is individually on that continua. So we don't have any standardized testing. All of the assessments are individualized, so the teacher will sit with the child and read to assess where they are with reading. They'll observe their math, and the kids did ask for spelling tests because it's something that they were interested in, rather than just using the spelling assessment that the teachers have. So there are kids in the classrooms who do spelling tests, but I think that's the only type of testing that we have at
But
this
I
point.
would imagine with, the better student-to-teacher ratio than in the public schools, then they're probably going to come out of OCS a little bit more advanced than public school.
Yeah, a lot of the
students.
kids who leave go on and because they have had so much individualized attention, and also there's so much focus on how that child learns herself or himself, they're really confident with that. And because the academics have been adjusted so much within the curriculum to how that child learns, they come out as really self-confident learners and transition into public school or to Nova or one of the other private middle schools really well.
Okay, that's good. Well, I think we have to wrap it up for today.
Oh.
And but I want to mention the website again, which is www.olympiacommunityschool.org. So go there if you're interested in learning more about OCS. And thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
So good luck with your school, and thanks for watching Mission Nonprofit. We will see you next month, and our guest is going to be empowerment. So tune in for Mission Nonprofit next month. I'm your host, Robert Kam. Thanks for watching. If you know of a local nonprofit that's making a difference in our community, give us a call at 956-3100, extension 103, or send an email to rkam@tctv.net.